20th, 2024. My apologies for being a little bit later than usual. First of all, there's a lot in this report. Second of all, today was a very busy day for my family. We basically got all of our scheduling for the spring sports balling, and so we had to take a confluence of not just my daughters and I and our sports ball, which is pretty fun, but also my son, who is now sports balling. Little dude that he is. So we are all sports balling, and we had to put all of our stuff together. It took literally an hour to sit there and coordinate. So we had to coordinate all that kind of stuff. And here we are. But you don't care. You just want to hear some good intel, right? Well, we got that here on the old crisis report. We have a lot to cover. There is been use of the storm shadows in and on Russia, and that's a problem for obvious reasons. A lot of the embassies in Ukraine are being basically they're leaving them because they're worried. Russia has come out and said it's going to use this major rocket. Now, I covered this on PrepperNow in my very early morning video. I will have another very early morning video on there tomorrow. But basically, I woke up, and when I do that, I just kind of look around. There's a couple channels I go to that are over in Europe, and they're, first and foremost, they're getting their stuff done. And so I go there, and I'll start to look around and see what they have to say. And the first thing that popped up was basically that Russia is going to be taking these old ICBMs and taking, thankfully not nuclear weapons on them, but putting some pretty strong missiles on these things that are explosives, I guess, that could do a lot of leveling. They are not super accurate, but they can level a lot, and they're basically unable to be taken out by air defense because they are ICBMs. So that's all in the works, and a lot of chatter, a lot of talk about all that. So we're going to cover everything. We're going to do the old crisis report thing like we always do, and there is a lot of other stuff to add to all of this. And the tensions in Europe have now really risen. Now, I don't think in the next day or so, I know you ask some channels, everybody's going to be in, nuclear bunkers and the world will be uninhabitable within 48 hours. I don't think that kind of stuff is going to happen. I'm not saying it can't happen, but right now, I think that we will just see an escalation. Now, what Russia does, the ball's kind of in their court. I don't know what they're going to do. They're chess players, The West, they're playing checkers. Russia is usually playing chess when it comes to a lot of this. Now, a lot of people say, well, that's just because they're not as strong as we are and they're weak. And yeah, maybe, but I don't know. There's a lot of concerning things going on, and so we should have a modicum of respect for the country with the largest arsenal of nuclear weapons when we're giving the green light in a caged and cornered, dying animal, which is Ukraine, and we give them the green light to use all kinds of weapons that could really do some damage on Russia, but also really garner a response that will be pretty nasty. So, all right, we're about 4 minutes in, folks. We're going to get started here. I got to get rolling, so we're all in bed by midnight, and let's just get to it. This is your crisis report for November 20th, 2024. Whoosh. Russia plans to hit Ukraine with its new ballistic missile to test in combat conditions. According to monitors, the launch can be carried out from the test site of the Astrakhan region. Meanwhile, the Spanish embassy in Kiev has announced that it will not provide services during the day to possible security threats. Freezing the conflict in Ukraine is unacceptable for the Russian Federation. It is important for Russia, Moscow, to achieve the goals of the special operation, according to Kremlin spokesperson Peskov. State Department demanded that Turkey extradite Hamas officials located on Turkish territory. Otherwise, the U.S. threatens Erdogan with sanctions. Putin ordered to ensure the security of all critical infrastructure facilities across the country, including the Crimean Bridge. And there are a lot of people thinking that that thing is now in the sights of these attackums and storm shadows and scalps and the little Taurus UAVs from Germany. I mean, all of them have come together to give Ukraine a lot of dangerous potential. Kiryat Shimona, direct hit building, settlement located in northeastern sector, border with Lebanon. Russian channels report that Russia will test the RS-26 Rubezh, decommissioned intercontinental ballistic missile, with a conventional warhead to bomb Ukraine. CIA in Moscow says they can inflict an unprecedented missile strike on Ukraine and Kiev in the next 48 hours. I don't know why he said CIA, but the guy's a little nutty. Traffic on the Crimean Bridge is temporarily closed due to security concerns. Threat of ballistic missiles, alarm in Kiev, number of regions. Missile threat also declared in the territory of Krymsky district of Kuban, Russia, head of the municipality said. Ukraine's military intelligence says Russia staged a massive psychological operation involving the mass distribution of fake messages about an imminent missile attack on Kiev, according to Reuters. Nuclear missile movements in the middle of Moscow, according to NBC. At least 3 Russian Tu-95 MS bombers have departed Olenia Air Base and are en route to Engels 2 Air Base, likely for missile preparation. Ukrainian Storm Shadow missiles have been launched in the direction of the Kursk region. Hezbollah's response to attacks in central Beirut will be strikes in central Tel Aviv, movement says. Massive attack of 12 missiles, presumably British-made Storm Shadows, struck the Russian Kursk region. Russian air defense is not capable to stop this barrage. Debris on the ground supports the assumption that Storm Shadows are being used. United States vetoed a UN Security Council resolution calling for an immediate, unconditional, and permanent ceasefire in Israel's attack on Gaza. Israeli forces turn northern Gaza only desalination plant into a military base. Earlier, Israeli airstrikes targeted industrial areas, including a warehouse said to be used by Iran's Revolutionary Guards in the Palmyra area of Homs province, Syria. Death toll has risen to more than 30, with more than 70 wounded. Fires and massive destruction as a result of an Israeli attack targeting Khalid bin al-Walid school in the Nusrat camp in the central Gaza Strip. Chinese vessel Yipeng 3 has been chased, intercepted, and boarded by Danish Navy vessel Y311 Soloven after the Chinese vessel destroyed 2 undersea telecom cables linking Finland, Germany, and Sweden to Lithuania. Vessel sailed from Russia, and the captain is Russian. United States has closed its embassy in Kiev due to intelligence reporting a powerful air attack approaching the Ukrainian capital on November 20th. Embassy recommends U.S. citizens be prepared to immediately shelter in the event of an alert if it is announced. Russian newspaper says starting World War III over strikes on an arms depot in Bryansk region would probably be short-sighted. Ukraine, Italian embassy in Kiev is also closing today due to the threat of a Russian ballistic missile launch following the U.S. and Spanish embassies, Vegliari Sicuri has a report. Massive strike on Kiev. Centers write that Russia, those are open source intelligence people, that Russia can test its ballistic RS-26 Rubezh. Testing in combat conditions, it's got a range of 6,000 kilometers, accuracy of 150 meters. Weight of the combat unit is 1.2 tons, or equivalent to 3 Iskander-Ms. It's a pretty big missile. It'll do some damage for sure. Greek embassy in Kiev, following Italy, announces temporary closure due to security concerns. There will be a nuclear strike by the end of the year. Bookmakers are accepting bets, estimating the chances currently about 10%. It is interesting that yesterday, against the backdrop of the news about the approval of the new nuclear doctrine of the Russian Federation, the indicator reached almost 18%. By the way, in October, they had Kamala beating Trump 60-40 at certain points. Kazakhstan has recommended that its citizens leave Ukraine. North Korea threatens the United States that once it intervenes on behalf of Ukraine, we will launch ballistic missiles at U.S. territory. Russia may launch an underwater vehicle capable of delivering both conventional and nuclear warheads in response to the Storm Shadow strikes in the Kursk region. Ukraine, air raid alert in Kiev and a number of other regions. According to Ukrainian sources, at least 7 Russian Tu-95MS nuclear-capable bombers are in the air heading towards missile launch positions for strikes on Ukraine. Red alert, the nuclear sniffers are in the air. A church in Switzerland is now using an AI hologram of Jesus to take confessions from worshipers. Okay. Representative Tim Burchett asked the public if anyone can hack the Epstein files and make them accessible to the American people. Donald Trump plans to grant credentials to podcasters, YouTubers, and social media influencers for the White House briefing room. Donald, if you're looking, you may email me. I would love to come and ask some questions. Newly counted ballots in Merced County have narrowed Representative John Duarte's lead in California's 13th district race from 1564 to just 227. With the race tightening, a win by a Democrat, Adam Gray, would cost the GOP another House seat. I'm sure they're looking under every couch to find what they need. United States government has told Ukraine they can keep $4.65 billion of U.S. taxpayer money, which was originally meant to be repaid. Senator Rand Paul has warned Donald Trump against using the military to deport illegal immigrants, cautioning that deploying the army in U.S. cities sends a terrible message both to the world and to the American citizens. I agree with him. There's got to be a way to do things without all of that. He's going to get his butt handed to him in the midterms. It's a bad look. It is what it is. You can disagree. Oh, the rapists or this or that. You say whatever you want to say. If you want to keep winning, trust the dude with a political science degree. I can assure you, if he goes out and he does that and starts tossing everything around, he's going to get his butt handed to him, and you have a fully Democrat House and possibly Senate by 2026. You mark my words. It can be done, but it's got to be done in a tactful, deportation kind of way. Incentivize it. If anybody is arrested or whatever, immediately, there's a way to do things without completely making it so you hand the House over to the Democrats. Kremlin says United States. I look forward to the comment. Yeah, you so stupid, man. You don't. Kremlin says U.S. mines for Ukraine show it is doing everything to prolong war. I was called a jackass today, for the record. China urges calm after Putin decree on broader use of nuclear weapons. Ford is going to cut 4,000 jobs in Europe. Doing great. Trump nominates former acting AG Matt Whitaker as ambassador to NATO. United States House Speaker Johnson, all single-sex facilities in the Capitol and House office buildings, such as restrooms, changing rooms, and locker rooms, are reserved for individuals of that biological sex. Ukraine rejects massive airstrike warning as a Russian psychological operation. Internet connectivity decline across parts of Washington State, United States, with Kirkland, Redmond, and Renton among the hardest hit. The incident is linked to widespread power outages caused by a bomb cyclone bringing hurricane force winds, according to NetBlocks. Supposedly 600,000 people were out of power, if you know the area there. Renton, Redmond, Kirkland, and all that. Those are all towards the north of Seattle. So, yeah, it's, I think actually Renton is south. But anyway, I used to work in Redmond. So that's where the Microsoft campus is. At least it was. Maybe it's not there anymore. I'm talking outside. You get the point. Bomb cyclone coming into a house near you. At least 150 people have been killed this past week in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, with gangs controlling all main roads in and out of the city, according to the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights. NVIDIA crushed expectations with a $19 billion quarterly profit. Hundreds of migrants left the Mexican city of Tapachula on foot Wednesday, aiming to arrive at the U.S. border before President-elect Donald Trump, who has vowed massive deportations, takes office in January. Joe administration moves to forgive $4.7 billion of loans to Ukraine. Wonderful. Trump is looking to revive the Keystone XL oil pipeline on his first day back in the White House, according to Politico. Donald Trump is looking to revive the Keystone XL oil pipeline on his first day back in the White House. Doubler. Major battles between Hezbollah, elite Radwan forces, and the Israeli army is a number of villagers in southern Lebanon ongoing. Europe prepares for World War III. Now Germany reveals plans to mobilize national defense and 800,000 NATO troops after the Kremlin nuke threat, as the United States announces new weapons Kiev can use to stop Russia after allowing long-range missile strikes. A few points of the developments. 1,000-page document outlined Germany's national defense plan, according to the media. Comes as the United States authorized use of anti-personnel mines on Ukrainian front line. By the way, we don't use those anywhere, and we have condemned anybody really in the last 60 years who has used mines. So the fact that they are authorizing the use of these really kind of shows you where the mentality is of these people. So, I like that, Watchman. I agree. Like, yeah, hey, guys, we're not going to use our nukes. He just said, I don't know if you read Watchman's comment. It's a good one. Yeah, we're not going to use nukes. No, I would never telegraph that. No, we're just going to sit back. You guys do whatever you need to do. You do whatever you need to do. We're just going to sit back and take it. Yeah, right. Putin yesterday lowered the threshold for nuclear response on attacks in Russia, or to Russia, from Russia, with Russia. That's Russia. IAEA chief Iran has agreed to stop 60% uranium enrichment. Russian airborne nuclear war control planes circling Moscow. Mobile nuclear missile deploying. Red alert. Red alert. Moscow has allegedly ordered its political officials to nuclear bunkers in the Ural Mountains. Yeah, take that with a grain of salt, like he said. I don't know about that. There's actually people that follow all the plane flights and all that. If you'll know, trust me, you'll know. There's some tuber out there that's following where they're going and what they're doing. You'll know. So don't just, again, right now, things take time. There's one thing you've learned in the crisis report over the last couple of years. This stuff takes time. They're escalating. But it takes time. It's logistics. Okay? Rookies talk strategery. Experts talk logistics. Range of the most common Russian missiles. The hit field includes all Western countries, including Britain. United States Embassy in Kiev will resume normal work tomorrow, November 21st, according to State Department. Kyrgyzstan has also recommended its citizens to leave Ukraine as fears spark of a major military escalation with Moscow. If Russia launches its RS-26 ICBM towards Ukraine and Kiev, the missile will reach the Ukrainian capital in 8 to 10 minutes and cannot be intercepted, military expert Ihor Romanenko has said. Ukraine didn't have a THAAD system capable of shooting down such a missile. The effectiveness of the Patriot in retaliation is in question. Probability of the launch is high, according to the latest estimates. Belarus, State TV. Belarus reported opposition and the alleged West plan to attack 4 territories in the southwest of the country. They were going to involve armed groups from Poland, Lithuania, and Ukraine. R.A. Novosti says, it is noted that according to the plan, Belarus should first be attacked by gangs of nationalists, then mercenaries and NATO forces will be involved. Polish special services are helping to prepare the militants for the attack. Putin disappeared from the public for unknown reasons, according to a report. Indeed, Putin has been absent from his workplace recently and receives all reports exclusively via special communications. Those close to him are told the same standard answer. He is undergoing a medical examination and is undergoing a regular course of general health improvement, but no one knows how things are in reality and where he is. So, Russian doomsday plane Tu-214PU has been active and was heading away from the Moscow region to the eastern sector with an unknown destination. Putin will launch a nuclear weapon. The world is standing, according to CNN Turkish. United States should engage with Russia, China, and North Korea to prevent nuclear war threat, according to the Pentagon. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Here's another idea, jackass. Maybe you guys shouldn't allow them to use a bunch of weapons that until a certain election went a certain way, you didn't really allow them to do because you knew that they were freaking crazy and they're going to go, balls deep on it. So, but that's so Thursday, a couple days ago, it's so Tuesday. We don't worry about that now. We just keep escalating. Ukrainian channels report mass activity of Russian tactical aviation in the area of the Sea of Azov. 6 Russian missile carriers are deployed to the Black Sea for launching something big. Zelensky says, I have already said that we are ready to take back Crimea through diplomatic means. We cannot allow tens of thousands of our citizens to die in order for Crimea to exist again. We understand that Crimea can be taken back through diplomatic means. Ukrainian president also said that he will not recognize the occupied territories as Russian. I'm going to remind Mr. Zelensky, you are nowhere near getting Crimea back. And if anything, you should be talking about freezing the conflict where it is. And, this statement alone is just nuts. It's so out of, reality. I want the war to end. Don't get me wrong, but, you're sitting there going, yeah, we're going to diplomatically get Crimea back to Ukraine. No, you're not. United States sending Ukraine $275 million in security assistance. Romanian Foreign Ministry announces security measures at the Embassy of Romania in Kiev, stating that the Embassy of Romania in Kiev has taken additional measures to ensure the protection of its personnel, with activities being limited to urgent actions. The situation is being constantly monitored, and in consultation with the Ukrainian authorities, measures will be adapted according to the developments. Chairman of the State Duma Defense Committee, Andrei Kartapolov, Colonel General. Russia is preparing an unprecedented strike. He called the enemy's reports hysterical and accused the United States and its allies of escalation by allowing Ukraine to use long-range weapons on Russian territory. The strikes will be unexpected, as always. So, yeah, that's the chairman of the State Duma. This isn't some guy on a punditry on Moscow Live. Just days after Ukraine fired ATACMS into Russian territory, now Ukraine fired British Storm Shadow missiles towards Kursk. Great. A total of 12 Storm Shadow missiles were fired. So more details have emerged of Wednesday's Storm Shadow missile attack from Ukraine on Russia. This marks the first authorized known use of the long-range weapon in the cross-border attack. Previously, the British government restricted use to within the Ukrainian battle space in the Donbas, for example. Russian war correspondents have confirmed that a missile's flight was heard over Kursk. There's information about a Storm Shadow attack near Rylsk, while the extent of damage or precise targets is unclear. Sources on the ground say that up to a dozen Storm Shadows were used. Rylsk's territorial defense forces claim that 12 Storm Shadows were launched at about 2:50 p.m. Bloomberg, citing an anonymous Western official, also reported the Ukraine had fired Storm Shadow missiles on the targets in Russia. Ukrainian Foreign Ministry said that Western embassies are escalating the situation due to possible shelling. We believe that it would be right for partners to react on the 1,001st day in the same way as the previous 1,000 days without any additional information. Information escalation. Strike by Storm Shadow missiles on a facility in the village of Marino in the Kursk region, recorded from a nearby Ukrainian reconnaissance drone. It is visible how a total of about 12 cruise missiles are flying at various buildings near the Badyanitsky Prince's estate. So what's going on over there? What's the officialdom from Russia say? Well, according to them, the first fragments of the Storm Shadow were found on Russian territory after attacks by the Ukrainians. Videos prove several heavy impacts on Marino. The Russians' answer may come today as the first reports of a new Russian ballistic missile are becoming public, which is currently being prepared for attack. In Toretsk, geolocations show that the Russians are advancing in the center and in the Subalka district. In Subalka, the Ukrainians are currently in danger of being encircled by the latest advances. North of Kharkov, the Russians are capturing a large part of the village of Somsivka, which lies north of Stary Terny, but there are also said to be territorial gains in Beretsky. South of Kharkov and the Kharkov, the Russians can also boast successes. They now control around 35% of the town there. Russians are also advancing along the fields, and the situation for Kharkov is coming to a head. According to the 79th Ukrainian Brigade, Ilyanka, the village south of Uspanivka, has fallen. Well, Megatron says it looks like Kiev is going to burn soon. He said following the USA, Greece, Spain, Italy, all are closing their embassies in Kiev in anticipation of a large missile attack against Ukraine. All actions led to the fact that the response to the strikes deep in the country, Russia will carry out a massive bombing of Kiev, where massive amounts of weapons are stored throughout the city. Ukrainian army is seriously exhausted after 1,001 days of war. Overextended, Ukrainian forces lack manpower and artillery against Russian forces, willing to absorb staggering casualties, outnumbered by more than 6-1 along some stretches of the front. Soldiers and commanders say they are hindered by a lack of combat infantry after years of heavy fighting, and just as important, by a shortage of experienced platoon and company commanders to lead untested recruits into battle. Location hit by the Storm Shadow missiles is reportedly the facility of the President of the Russian Federation, with an underground command post in the Kursk region. Places claimed to be an underground command post that could be used by a command of Russian and North Korean troops located in the Kursk region. Wonderful. IDF, Chief of the General Staff, Lieutenant General Herzi Halevi in southern Lebanon says, "Our mission here is clear, to return the residents of southern Israel to the home safely." View talk show host Sonny Hostin was forced to read a legal letter by Matt Gaetz' legal team. It says, quote, "Matt Gaetz has long denied all allegations, calling the claims invented. The DOJ investigation was closed with no charges brought," end quote. Trend watch, California is on track to lose 4 congressmen and electoral votes. Why? Because they're dumb. New York will lose 3, Illinois 2, while Oregon, Minnesota, and Rhode Island are each going to be down 1. Folks, can I ask you a question? What is it that ties all of those places together? What is the similarity between California, New York, Illinois, Oregon, Minnesota, Rhode Island? What is it? What is it? What is the thing? I'll give you a second. Let me go. Hoo doo 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 doo. Do 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 do. Beep 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 boop boop boop. No one's gonna answer. They're all Democrat states. They're blue states. Yep, solidly Republican states will get most of the game. You guys are drunk. I am not. For the first time, more than half of Ukrainians want the war to end as soon as possible. All right. Do the blue. I don't know, PM. Maybe there's a bunch of idiotic people. Who knows? It's a possibility. I wouldn't live there. French farmers threaten chaos over EU trade deal with South America's Mercosur. French farmers launched a new protest Tuesday against a proposed deal between the EU and 4 South American countries of the Mercosur trade bloc. French government is strongly opposed to the deal, but protesters want French President Emmanuel Macron to do more help amid rising discontent over foreign competition. So, goes on from there. I'll read some of the quotes in my French accent. "We're going to block the N9 as well as the fuel depots, ports, and purchasing centers." Serge Bousquet-Cassagnon, a CR representative in the Southwest, has stated. "We want to cause chaos and food shortages," he said, adding that the blockade could last several days, pointing to a river of fruit and vegetables arriving from Spain. There you go. "My name is Yoniga Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die." Farmers fearing the agreement would open European Union markets to cheaper meat produced from South American competitors who are not forced to adhere to the strict EU rules on pesticides, hormones, land use, and environmental measures. It goes on from there. It's a long post, but it's down here in France 24. And so the French government decided to send a frigate to the Red Sea as a deterrent against the Houthis, but then decided to withdraw due to the deterrence of the Houthis. I'll let that sink in for a moment. Rand Paul warns Donald Trump against using the military to deport illegal immigrants. We know that one. Germany provides a new military aid package to Ukraine, which includes 4 PZH-2000 howitzers, 7 M109 howitzers, 41,000 155mm caliber artillery shells, 47 armored vehicles, and other weapons. LeBron James announced that he is stepping away from all social media indefinitely. Oh my God, I need a Kleenex. I'm going to cry. I wake every morning to hear what LeBron has to say about things, and now he's gone. The voice is silent. What's that? Ellen DeGeneres has officially left the United States. Why, Ellen? Citing election results as a reason, and says she is never coming back. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you, lady. Okay? The FBI has arrested a man over a plot to bomb the New York Stock Exchange. Now, that could be bad. No jokes there. Biden administration is currently withholding an order of 20,000 heavy Mk-84 bombs from Israel during a very critical time of the war, according to Channel 12. Erdogan's Turkey strikes in Syria have cut off water to 1 million Kurds. Ukrainian Air Force monitor claims, and this is latest, this was at about 10:50 Eastern Standard Time, so a little less than an hour ago. Ukrainian Air Force monitor claimed the Tu-95MS Russian strategic bombers moved to the Engels area over Saratov, where usually they launch missiles against Ukraine and presumably launched its wave of missiles on Ukraine. They expect the entry of cruise missiles into the airspace of Ukraine between 0600 and 0700 local time, if the strikes are real. So, yeah. We shall see. Friends, that's your crisis report. November 20th, 2024. Please hit the like button if you should. Hit me that subscription button if you are new here. Darken out the bell. Join me in all the other places. I'm going to go and populate some stuff on the Subscribe Star and Locals. We're a little neglecty today. It's only had about 5 posts. Somebody go do that. But yeah, if you like what we're doing here, follow the links in the description. Still undecided. I've got the guy that wants me to join up as an affiliate for a very solid company. But as my man Johnny Finance emailed me, he said, be careful, you never know, because you can get sued or whatever. So I got to look at the legality of everything and go over it. But the channel is growing. And that's because of you. Because you guys are awesome. You're here every night. When I'm late, you're late. You don't care. You come in, you're nice. You're pleasant. Sure, we get some butt heads in from time to time. Yeah, I might be called a jackass once in a while, but fact of the matter is, we're doing the intel thing. We're doing the most comprehensive news thing, and we're letting everybody know what's going on. So if you know someone else that's doing more than what I'm doing, like on a daily kind of report, man, I'd love to see it. I know Bear does great work. I know Angry does reports from time to time. Those are pretty good. But going out, getting the intel and telling you everything in the way that I do, I don't really know of too many people that are doing it. So, for better or for worse. And that, my friends, is your crisis report for November 20th. I'm going to get off the horn here. And I really appreciate you. I do. So, if you like me and you like what we're doing here, hit that like button, do the subscribe thing, darken out the bell, yada, yada, yada. Leave a comment. But be good to each other, okay? A lot of crazy stuff going on. Don't freak out. Just keep doing your thing. Oh, and 69 likes, 139 in the room right now. Go on out there and tap that like button as you leave. God bless, friends. PrepperNow out.